I'm David, this is Kat, we're the Bibs, and we're about 3 years into Real Church now, almost. Almost 3 years. She had to pry me out of the house in order to come in. I wasn't even close to wanting to go down that road anymore. I had personally a lot of turmoil growing up, from like the loss of my parents to rejection of the church and so on and so forth, moving forward from that, and just completely turning my back on everything that was Christ-centered. I knew he was there, I knew he was real, but I had felt that because of losing my father at the age of 12, being rejected from churches, like literally from the age of 12 to 15, that God had turned his back on me. My mom and my relationship got worse and worse and worse over the years, until the day she passed away when I was 20. And after that, I was like, I'm done, I'm out. I was like, I really have nothing else to even try to go to church for. My life had completely fallen apart, and then she came in and we started to rebuild everything, and she came in and she was like, look, you know, we need
a solid foundation in our life, and we're sitting outside smoking a cigarette. And we were talking about, it kind of just kicked in. Okay, we're engaged, we're gonna get married. Why don't we start a solid foundation? And it took a few weeks to figure out when we're gonna do it, until one Saturday night we're like, okay, well, tomorrow we'll go.
And I literally, I had told her many times, I was like, if there's a church out there that will accept me, I mean, because if we're being honest with each other, I'm like, I look like I just walked out of a penitentiary. It was real hard for me to sit there and say, yeah, okay, let's go try a church. And she said, well, what about this church? I said, no. What about this church? No. What about this church?
We Googled a bunch of just different churches to try. And I wanted to try the 1045 one because I take forever to get ready. And
Real Church popped up. We came in and we had the first service, and we were late. And then the next couple times we were late.
I thought we were going to the 1045 one.
It turns out there is no 1045 one.
It turned out it was the 1030 one.
Yeah. Pastor says, like, you know, we'll probably never agree on anything. I was like, yeah, more than likely not. And he said, but there's nobody out there that's going to fight harder for you than I will. And he's shown that to me from the times of just a text message to a little phone call to when I lost my job, to giving me work for like 6 months, and that pulled us out of a big hole. I started seeing more of God's forgiveness towards my stupidity that I had ignored for a long time. When she dragged me in here and Pastor greeted us, he goes, what made you want to come to rehearsal? I was like, well, I saw the dude on your window, and I figured if he can stand in your window and not do nothing, I could at least come in here and sit in the pew. And that's when, like, after the service, you know, I walked up to Rob and you and Travis, and I was like, I really like that guitar you're playing. And that's when I made the statement, yeah, I play a little. And I was invited to come to a practice for the first time in, I would say, probably just about 25 years. I was playing somewhere other than a bar. And when I started playing here, I started playing more and more and more and more and more, and realized that there is something to play for. It's not just the money, it's not just the recognition, the fame, and all that stuff. It was for a greater glory than just me. And our battles carried on for a good minute, a good while, with, you know, me having my anger issues and my drinking problems back then.
Me still wanting to party.
Yeah, me sitting there with, you know, a can of Copenhagen in my pocket and a pack of Marlboro Reds in my other pocket, and it just out of nowhere, just like throughout a week, I ran out of, you know, dip, I ran out of cigarettes, and I just went about my life. I know I found, you know, somewhere that was actually Christ-like in this place. And I know she found more purpose here than at the bars. And I found people that were gonna look past all the, the tattoos, and instead of judging, they laughed with me about it.
I guess for me, I was never really, I grew up knowing Jesus, knowing there's God. I grew up knowing more of the Catholic end of it than anything else, but we came here, and at first it was like, okay, I love it. It's great. I struggled at first with the whole having to get up and go the first year. It was tough because it was, I wasn't ready to let go of my life that I had, or I guess what I called life. And once I transitioned from that to this is life. This is what life is really about. It's my family. It's my church family. It's the people that really do care for the best of you.
She had asked me, she said, I thought things were going to be different. I thought things were going to change and get better. I was like, that's not the way it works. And things got very hard for us, and we literally had to come to face the, like, are we going to pay tithes or are we going to pay the light bill? I was like, I'm pretty sure God will understand that I need gas in my truck. We had, I think, like $50 in the bank the first time we gave tithes, and our tithes was literally, I think it was like $40 was our tithes for that week. I was like, cut the check, just don't let me watch, just do it. And then later on, just more blessings. Like literally, I lost one job, found another one, and I worked with Pastor for 6 months, I want to say. I finally got a phone call for an interview from a company that had interviewed me almost a year before. Well, then they called me back, they offered me $13 an hour, and I was like, that's when I asked them to pray, and I was like, okay. Quite literally, my finances got cut in half. And like we continued to pay our tithes on the 10%, where it got to the point where 2 weeks after starting this company, they said, the owner wants to give you a raise. So I talked to my boss, I was like, look, I know there's that old Chevy in the back of the lot. I'll buy it, I will give you payments, I'll do whatever I can. 2 months later, he calls me in his office and says, Marty said he's not gonna sell you the truck. He's going to give it to you for $0. Like not even a few weeks later, she gets called into her office by her supervisor and says, we're going to give you a raise. We used to pride ourselves on our outlaw ways and the way we lived life. And to look back at it now and go, my journey's not done. My fight's not over. So far, we've gained so much from not just church. Like God's pushed me towards a direction that saying, that dude that would have been boxing in the corner with somebody for looking at you wrong, you're not that guy anymore. And look at where you are versus where you used to be. Through all of our struggles and all of the trials and tribulations that we go through, and just the almost breaking of our faith, seeing God bring us out and put us back on top, we owe it to Him to bring our first best. Will you?